On the left side of the screen, I've displayed my lesson plan, and on the right side of the screen, I've displayed my students' work. The standard that I focused on during my lesson was to solve addition and subtraction word problems, and add and subtract within 10 by using objects or drawings to represent the problem. During previous classes, my student has worked on similar problems that I've given her today. Some of the difficulties that my student had were deciding which sign was correct. She would get confused about whether it was an addition sign or an equal sign. Another one of my students' difficulties were reading the problems. She has disabilities, and reading the problems out loud was difficult for her. I started off my lesson by reminding the student that we've been working on these types of problems for a week, and in order to help the student activate prior knowledge, I had them fill out a what I know, what I wonder, and what I've learned chart. This helped the student remember what they've been learning about in the past week. After filling out the chart, I will explain and introduce base 10 blocks to show a better understanding of addition problems. I brought the base 10 cubes on the table in front of my student and let her add the cubes all together. I wanted my student to see a physical representation of a problem. I asked my student to create 2 plus 4 with the blocks, and after a few seconds, she arranged them into 4 and 2. I asked her to show me what 2 plus 4 looked like, and then she sat there and thought about it for a minute. She asked me what I meant. I explained that she was showing me 4 plus 2, and I wanted to see what 2 plus 4 was. She rearranged the cubes, and I asked her to add them all together. She counted each cube and told me 6. After this, she completed the worksheet with 3 problems. There were times when she would ask me what certain words were, and I told her. In our textbook, Van de Waal says on page 187, some teachers are hesitant to use story problems with ELs or students with disabilities because of the additional language or reading required. However, using story problems with all students is important because language and context supports understanding. The student's thinking was consistent throughout the worksheet. Except for the last problem, she flipped the numbers around. The student would turn and ask me if she was writing the correct addition or equal sign. The materials that were used were the KWL worksheet and the math worksheet, with 3 problems on it. Some of the questions I asked my student were, how many blocks should be in each group? What do we get when we combine the 2 groups? And can she show me what the problem equals? I also asked her how they use the blocks to get the answer. Some problem-solving strategies that my student used were to think back to how she played with the cubes in the beginning of the lesson, and that she would use this knowledge to continue to work through similar problems. Some steps for the next instruction would be to continue to use the base 10 cubes and to work on new worksheets. I would also go over what an equal sign looks like as well as an addition sign. This will help my student to write out the problem correctly. To summarize my lesson, I will talk about how my student used the physical objects like the blocks and how they can be used to solve word problems and other math problems.